I recently got a banjo and a ukulele, so I'm gonna do a Sufjan Stevens recreation video. I owe you all an apology because it has been too long, but welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Lucas Fournier. I'm a music producer for indie artists in the indie folk, indie pop, indie rock genre-ish. I made a few of these artist recreation videos that you guys have loved, and thank you so much for your support. So we're back with another one, and today we're doing Sufjan Stevens. So you might already know the drill, but if you don't, I'm gonna take you through my entire process of recording a song that I've written in the style of Sufjan Stevens. So yeah, in the past videos, the song has actually already been fully written when I start producing it, but in this one I know what the instrumental is, I kind of know what the melody is, but I don't really have lyrics or anything yet, so you're gonna see a bit of that process as well in this video. Okay, so I'm gonna start recording our song. So it's gonna start with the little ukulele part that I wrote. And to set this up, I'm gonna record on these two Shure KSM 137s. I have three microphones that I use. I use these two when I want like a stereo sound. And then I use the Universal Audio Sphere for literally everything else. You'll see me use that for vocals in this project. But yeah, I'm just gonna get my stereo recording set up on my recording track in my mixer. Okay, so we're getting a lot more from the left channel right now. So with that, we are now ready to record. I just record right into the playlist. I have a few slots for recording here. By the way, if you use FL Studio and you want this template, it is available for download in my Gumroad store, so that's available in the description. Also, a really important thing to do is to experiment with mic placement a little bit. So there's quite a different sound that happens. This is for any instrument, or any instrument. There's a very different sound that happens when the sound hole is directly in front of the microphones, like this, as opposed to like this. It's gonna be a much thinner sound. So let's do the first take. Take number two, I'm gonna double track the ukulele. The ukulele is a pretty thin instrument, so I like to double track it to get a full sound. So there's the ukulele done, hopefully for now. Just put this back where it belongs. There's a fly on my window. Okay, I think these last two takes were the best. I'm gonna send them to my guitar sends. So I have this lined up so that basically there's a spot waiting for them in the mixer. All I gotta do is just assign these to the audio track right here. All right, let's hear what this sounds like with them panned hard left and hard right, without the metronome. Cool. So next I'm gonna record some vocals. I'm gonna switch up to the Universal Audio Sphere. Gotta get the pop filter on. Also gotta plug it in. That's somewhat important. My interface is definitely out of frame, but I use the Universal Audio Apollo Twin. And yeah, like I mentioned, I don't actually have the lyrics for this one, so I'm gonna show you what I do first, which is basically just getting down like melodies. And then I kind of, I just mutter melodies basically. And then I listen to myself doing the melodies that I muttered over and over again, and I just try to feel what the song is saying to me, and go from there. I don't think that sounded very helpful, sorry, but you'll see what I mean in a second. I was a fighter, you were a lighter, of our time in the fight and day never rise. Cool, so complete gibberish. I'm gonna listen just through this a bunch of times. So yeah, I'm just gonna take some time now, and I'm gonna write some lyrics. It's a Sufjan Stevens song, so they're gonna be kind of mythological, but really they're about God, but really they're about liking men. So yeah, I'll be back with you shortly once I have the lyrics written. Okay, so I've written the lyrics. It's a few hours later now. I also, when I was listening to it over and over again, I just realized it was too slow. I bumped up the tempo from 150 to 160, which of course means I had to retrack the ukuleles. It was annoying, but it just had to be done. This is a really important thing. A lot of you guys will send me music and get my opinion on it. And just so often, whether it's like tempo or key, sometimes it's just so obvious to me that it's in the wrong key for your voice, or the song just desperately needs to be faster or slower for like the melody to work and stuff. Which is why like when I was writing the lyrics and refining the melody, that's when I realized that it wasn't fast enough. So anyways, bumped up the tempo, retracked the ukuleles exactly the same way, just 10 BPM faster. So yeah, now I'm gonna record the vocals now that I actually have an idea of the lyrics. I liked to imagine that you were Apollo when you left
then I followed. I liked to imagine that you were Apollo.
So now I'm going to comp the vocal. I'll definitely be revisiting later to add layers and tighten everything up and stuff, but I just like having a rough guide vocal as I produce out the rest of the track. Okay, I think I have a comped vocal, so this is going to be a guideline for the rest of the arrangement. And speaking of the arrangement, I want to walk you through my process of how I figure out what instruments and what to put in this song. There's this amazing AI tool called Lalal.ai, which allows you to separate stems from existing songs. So I'm going to have 3 reference tracks for this song. I'm going to use Casimir Pulaski Day, John Wayne Gacy Jr., and Should Have Known Better. So as an example, let's start with Should Have Known Better. What I'm particularly interested in hearing in this song, because I know there's a lot of like synthy ambient layers, and I want to get a bit of a blueprint for that, of like how I should start layering synths for my own song. And in order to help me with that, what I really want to hear is this song with the acoustic guitar, like the lead instrument removed, so I can just hear those background pads. So right away, the default is to just split the vocal and the instrumental, so this is what that sounds like.
And grieve what I happen to grieve.
So yeah, Lalal.ai is amazing at splitting vocals and instrumentals especially, and you can really get a much better sense of the layers of the vocals here, so this is super helpful for me, right? Listen to this.
I never trust my feelings, I waited for the remedy.
Somewhere between 3 to 5 layers of vocals in there. Just the instrumental, this is what it sounds like, and there are vocals here, but this is the instrumental. So now this is what I'm really interested in, acoustic guitar. Let's try to separate that.
When I was 3 and free to explore.
This just makes it so much more clear what layers there are, and this helps me so much. I have an idea of what sort of layers I want to add to my Sufjan song. So that's Lalal.ai, and they've been kind enough to send over a referral link. So if you want to support the channel and get an amazing tool that's going to help your productions, then go check out Lalal.ai. So I now have a pretty good idea of what I want.
I'm going to start with a little rubber bridge part that I think is going to underpin the whole thing the whole way through. Maybe. We'll see. There's just no low end or even low mids right now in this song, basically, because the ukulele is such like a thin sounding instrument. So I just want a part that almost you feel it more than you hear it. And this is like a $150 guitar. It's like the cheapest guitar possible. I have this little $12 attachment. I learned about this in an Audio Haze video, but yeah, it's meant for tennis strings, but it basically acts like a perfect rubber bridge if you don't have an actual rubber bridge guitar. All right, let's record this thing. Just very quickly get a rough mix of that in there. I like to use the SSL channel strip as just like the quickest way to roughly shape the tone of something. So that's what I'm gonna do here.
Gown, you unfastened.
Yeah, cool, I like that. Okay, so it's just a subtle underpinning thing. Now, banjo time! I have very little idea how to play this instrument, so I'm just gonna try out some stuff.
You draped in a satin gown, you unfastened on the porch, forge for you.
Yeah, that's dope.
Prodigal shores into cure.
Hell yeah. Okay, I want to hear one more banjo kind of coming down the center. It'll be, I think, strictly melodic.
Then I followed. You draped in a satin gown, you unfastened.
Okay, I have no idea how to play that instrument, but there's a couple nice things in there, I think. Okay, so I really think we're getting somewhere now.
So I want to add in some piano now. I think this is going to be like the first instance of like an instrument with some real body. So it's really, I think it's going to be quite heavy when it comes in. I'm going to use my absolute favorite piano, VST Noir by Native Instruments. It's the best sound. Yeah, let's fool around a bit.
I liked to imagine you were Apollo. When you left and I followed. You
So I'm going to start with just that that pedal, and then I'm going to add in the underlying chords when the banjo comes in.
to imagine you now that you're gone. There's no medicine to cure me.
That feels pretty Sufjan, huh?
That you're gone. There's no medicine to cure me of panic and longing.
It's much more out of the way when I move that up the octave there.
I liked to imagine.
I want trumpets, which is not something I usually add in my productions, so we'll see what I can do. This is kind of what I got. This is just the contact library. Okay, let's just try it. I want to see if I can just kind of layer that up with some other, I almost said some other horny sounds. What does the trumpet section sound like? That's a lot more Sufjan, isn't it? But I want to do, what if we just cloud this up?
You is daunting.
So there's this plugin called Valves by Native Instruments, which is this brass texture. So yeah, I'm gonna get that in there as just a sort of horny ambiance. Horn-like ambiance. So I like up the octave.
To cure me of panic and look.
I know I want that to be the end of the last one. So I don't really know what I want this arp to be yet. So I'm just kind of building it. I'm like reverse engineering this arpeggio.
Of panic and longing.
Okay, I'm just gonna balance out this arpeggio, do a bit of sound design, and maybe just add a couple other little subtle things, but I'll come back to you to record the final vocals, and then we should be done. Okay, I've made a few changes, let me just walk you through them. So I balanced out the synth arpeggio thing by copying the MIDI over into 3 different layers. We have a xylophone sound on the left, that original serum pluck thing in the middle, and then this modular piano sound from Labs by Spitfire Audio. Altogether they sound like this. I also added a choir sound from Gaelic Voices, which is also a Labs library. That sounds like this. A simple bass pad from Retro Machines by Native Instruments. And some orchestral percussion, a bass drum and some cymbal rolls from Abbey Road 1 by Spitfire Audio. Those just sound like this. Adding some transitions in between sections and stuff. So now it's just time to layer up the vocals, and I talked about the plan for this, but I'm going to add 2 doubles the whole way through, and then we're going to add harmonies in some select areas. What I've already done actually is I've done little spikes of reverb, so I have the main vocal reverb send, so the lead vocals all go to this smaller reverb. You see it only has a 1.8 second decay, but then for these little bumps here, the vocals get routed to this much longer reverb. It's the whole bus going to that reverb. Which has a 5-second decay and is just overall a much larger reverb sound. So it has this really nice effect when you finish off a phrase, which is why I've only automated it in just the beginning. It would be too muddy if it was there the whole time, but when you just do a little bit of it at the end of a phrase, it has this lovely decay.
Then I followed.
It's little details like that really take a vocal production to the next level. But now let's record all the layers, because that is It's just necessary for this style, to be honest. When I'm doing the doubles, I'm literally gonna go like a line at a time. It's just gonna be easier that way. For this style, you have to match the performance like perfectly. It's not like the Bon Iver style of vocal doubles where it's a little bit loose. This is super, super tight. So I gotta get it right, which means I'm just gonna go like one line at a time pretty much.
I liked to imagine you were Apollo. I liked to imagine you were Apollo. When you left and I followed.
Oh yeah.
Now that you're gone, there's no medicine to cure me of pain.
Okay, you can see what I've done here. I've just done a little volume ride. This is just like the volume knob of the group for the vocal leads. Yeah, some areas it was a little too loud, some areas it was a little too quiet. So I've just done some simple automation that I've drawn in on this. Yeah, super simple, but super effective in keeping the vocal at the level that it needs to be at.
When you left and I followed, prodigal shore.
Okay, some harmonies are in. Let me show you what it sounds like, but just a little sneak peek because I'm going to show you the final thing in like a minute.
There's no medicine to cure me of pain.
I'm loving it. So I also, as you might be able to tell, did a lot of vocal mixing. I'm pretty happy with where it's at now. So as promised, I'm gonna give you that little sneak peek into how to mix a Sufjan vocal. So I was using Should Have Known Better as a reference track. I was just basically A-Bing between my song and Sufjan's song. And what I was noticing, my mix initially was way too bright. I noticed that Sufjan's voice was airy and I just took that all the way and it was too much. But so Sufjan's was a lot warmer and also it had a lot more of a lo-fi radio sound than mine does. When I say radio sound, I mean it sounds like it's playing through some old FM radio or something. When I tried to emulate that radio sound with EQ, it would always make my vocal sound really, really harsh. And Sufjan's vocal is actually not harsh at all. It's incredibly warm and smooth. So that was the big struggle. And the answer I discovered, this is always the answer when it comes to mixing stuff, parallel processing. So I have this send here where I literally, this is the stock FL Studio EQ and it's using like a radio preset. So everything under 300 hertz and everything over 4K, gone. There's this harsh peak at like 2K. So it's small, it's tinny. But obviously you couldn't just put that right in the vocal track. So instead I have all of the vocal leads just side chained a little bit to that send. So it just gets a little bit of that lo-fi sound and it makes a difference. Here's what it sounds like. I'll just go back to the beginning so there's no harmonies in there. Here's what it sounds like if I mute that send.
I like to imagine.
Here's what it sounds like with the send.
I like to imagine.
So it makes a big difference tonally. Like I mentioned earlier, there's also pretty much no low end on the vocals at all. These are the EQs that are like right on the vocal tracks. So that contributes as well. They're also very harshly compressed. I'm doing tons of peak reduction. If I play the vocal, this is what the compressor is doing.
I like to imagine.
It's slamming that vocals. -7, -10 dB. I think it probably will go even higher because there's some louder vocals later on. So yeah, absolutely slamming the vocal, and then obviously doing a lot of makeup gain to compensate for that. But yeah, the Sufjan sound is totally very harshly compressed. The last thing, and I'm an advocate for you can do anything with any tools, right? Like the stock EQ, and you can do what I did with any compressor. The last thing that did really help me though was Gullfoss, which is a pretty expensive plugin. I think it's almost, I don't know, it's like 200, 250 American. But it's this live adaptive EQ where it responds to the signal it's being sent and it adapts in real time and makes like, I think, thousands of different dynamic EQ cuts and boosts. So here I have the tame setting way up and I am lowering the brightness. So this is, I think, compensating for a lot of the harshness. And this really, really helped me get a much less harsh and much more warm sound. So if you don't have Gullfoss, sorry, Soothe 2 would also do an excellent job at this particular application. Yeah, I don't know a free alternative, but these plugins are a game changer for sure. And that is the breakdown of the mix. Now it's time for the final song.
I like to imagine you were Apollo. When you left and I followed, your draped in a satin gown, you unfastened on the porch, 'cause Hephaestus will forge for you when he's bored a prodigal shore. And now that you're gone, there's no medicine to cure me of panic and longing, fear of evolving. Life without you is daunting.
So as always, thank you so much for watching. I teased a bit earlier something exciting. I have created a channel membership. So for only $5 a month, you can get access to, for every single one of these recreation videos that I post, I'll be doing a full mix breakdown of literally me just going through everything I've done in that project step by step. It won't be edited at all. It's just me going through showing you literally everything in the project. And what'll also be available for channel members is the stems from each of these projects. The 4 that have been done, including this video, are already waiting there for you. And every future video, which is going to be one every month, is going to have the stems there as well. So yeah, if you want to dive in more in depth with these projects that I've been doing and just learn even more details, and you want a great way to support the channel, that's the way to do it. Anyways, you guys are absolutely awesome. I had so much fun with this video, and I will catch you next time.